Derek Shelton shouldn't be brought back as manager in 2025. But I've got a hypothetical for you that I think might be at least a little bit of a cause for you to pause on that count. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 7, Nationals 3 yesterday at PNC Park. Really cool that Billy Cook came up as a 25-year-old prospect. 25 and 26, you'll hear me say a lot on this show, is kind of that dead zone. You know, you cross from one to the next and you've gone across the river Styx as it applies to being called a prospect. And all he did was belt a 2-run double in his first at bat. He ended up 2 for 4, had his family there, all this other cool stuff. Joey Bart, again, goes deep, 2-run shot. Andrew McCutchen hit his 19th home run and singled. Kutch getting 20 home runs at age 37 and cementing his status to return next year is going to end up being one of the few bright spots in this summer. And Shelton might not be around to see next summer. As I've reported, and repeatedly so really over the last 3 weeks, he's in trouble. The team's been terrible since the end of July. The team had at least enough talent to be in contention just before the free fall. So you can't say that he had a team that stunk, because they didn't stink until the past 5-6 weeks. So again, the arguments in his favor, the arguments for retaining him into 2025 are not great. But I'm not going to lie here. There's a part of me that wonders, even though I happen to share the view that he shouldn't be brought back, how much better of a manager would he have been with a better general manager? How much better of a manager would he have been even just with a more urgent version of the current general manager, meaning someone who would have given more than lip service to the 2024 season mattering? Charrington never, ever, ever took this season seriously, and I've been telling you that since last Christmas? And honestly, I don't know that he even hides any of this stuff particularly well. When he was asked yesterday on his weekly radio show that I can't believe he continues to do, because it just does not help him or his cause in any way. He was asked about improvement, meaning year-over-year improvement. And his response, I'm going to read this verbatim, quote, "I think we're improving, and also we're not improving by enough yet and not fast enough. I think all of that is true. We're getting better. We see that in how players are coming onto the major league team and how that sets us up. But at some point, at the same time, it was Bill Parcells who said, 'You are who you are, who you are.' And you've got to be honest about that. And what it's telling us is that we need to improve more, and we need to make that improvement faster all the time." End quote. Look, this is easy to just dismiss and say that's just a bunch of word salad. He's killing time. He's doing anything and everything that he can to avoid answering the question the only way that it should actually be answered, which is that of course they are not improving. It's right there in the standings. They're 10 games under 500. They finished last season 10 games under 500. Put one of your statistical analysts on that and see if it computes to being the same number of games under 500. But the rest of it, the rest of this improvement that he can, justify in his own head to say something like that, it comes from Paul Skeens. It really does. It comes from Skeens. It comes to a lesser extent, but nonetheless real within its own context, Jared Jones. Now, I give Charrington, his lieutenants, his field staff, everybody full credit for Jones. Draft pick who's made it. draft pick who looks like he's going to be a fixture. He checks every box. But Skeens, that was just a gift. He fell from the baseball gods. 30 out of 30 general managers choose Skeens. 30 out of 30 general managers set up a virtually identical stepladder for him to get to the majors in the proper time. And 30 out of 30 field staffs leave him alone when it comes to his pitching for the simple reason that he's so advanced, he's so mature, and so confident. You wouldn't touch him. So what else is he talking about? Who are these players who've come to the majors and gotten better? Who are these players that they've improved? There are a couple. I mentioned Bart already. Bart's one of them, and he doesn't have a whole lot of company. For 5 years worth of work, trades, amateur acquisitions, development, and tens of millions of dollars just burned like a big bonfire out on Federal Street. What if Shelton had somebody who was better? What if Shelton ever, even just once, filled out a lineup card that from 1 through 9 was solid? We talk about his lineups every day when they come out. It's this big social media event. How can he possibly be batting Jared Triolo and Alika Williams and Michael A. Taylor 7, 8, and 9? Because look at who his other options are for 7, 8, and 9. Nobody ever brings that up. Who else would you have had in there? Who else has the GM given him? I think it's a fair thing to bring up. I also think it's fair to look at both of them as being just two together, too much on the same page. I wanted to see this manager do some of what Clint Hurdle did, which is to snap back, bark back, let him know that it's his team now, and he's going to be the one that takes the Pirates to the playoffs the way Clint did in 2013, 14, and 15. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Ben, who asks, DK, can you lay out, even just as a straw man, Ben Cherington's positive contributions to the organization? I can, and I can do so without hesitation. I brought up a couple of them in the last segment before I even got to this. Joey Bart is a smart find on several levels, not just that he was a number 2 overall pick and you always like giving guys like that a second chance, but also that the Pirates had apparently seemed set at the catcher position. And we write in wondering, and I know a lot of us did at the time, what are they doing bringing in yet another catcher? Because you had Henry Davis, the 1-1. Yasmani Grandal was signed. There were others on the depth chart. Andy Rodriguez is going to be back next year. So what are you doing with Bart? Well, you have to be thinking, hey, you can never have too much in the way of just talent. That's a smart, to use that word again, approach to that sort of thing. And the Pirates have been rewarded for it, maybe richly rewarded for it, because Bart, not Henry and not Andy, not anybody else, looks like he's going to be the catcher around here for the foreseeable future. I'll credit, again, Cherington with what we now see from both Jared Jones and Nick Gonzalez. Both of them were picks under his watch. Both of them were developed under his watch. Both of them are now doing well in the majors under his watch. I'm also going to be what I think is one of the very few people who would hold this stance, but I like the Aroldis Chapman signing. I wasn't wild about the context, meaning that shouldn't be your biggest expenditure on the open market, but I think he's done a lot more good than bad. I just happen to think with back-end relievers, we're all human in this way, in that we remember only the bad, or at least it leaves a much, much bigger impression. And I'll also give credit because he has a role in this, and a significant role in securing the extensions that the Pirates have. I know Brian Hayes is one of them. I'm hopeful that Hayes is going to bounce back. I've had back troubles. It was years ago, but they were pretty rough. And it's just a debilitating thing in your whole life, physically and mentally. If Key can get that under control, I mean, you've seen what he can do in the field, and you've seen on occasion what he can do at the plate when he's feeling right. Brian Reynolds is turning out to be a wonderful extension at a wonderful term for the team. That's to Cherington's credit. I'd say the same about Mitch Keller. In the spirit of the way you asked this, I'm not going to go ahead and augment this with a whole bunch of contrasts or whatever. I'm just going to answer the question the way you asked it and leave it right there. Is that fair? I hope so. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.